literally the with the TikTok, Ted brought it up, the TikTok ban and all that, Trump kicking that can down the road, 70 whatever days that he said he was gonna, right? Because now, it curried favor for him because uh young Barron, I think, was his social media campaign chair or whatever. And they blame bros like you, Nick, young men that are into, the manosphere, as they framed it, right? On TikTok, on all that stuff, because that's, I guess, encompassing of the manosphere. But then with the TikTok ban looming, all these Americans moving over to Red Note, right? And now they're like, wait a minute, this is actually, this backfiring. This is actually owned by China. Hold on, wait. So there is a difference between Singapore and China.
Jesus.
That part was my favorite part with Tom Cotton, who's up there, I'm going to say, with Lindsey Graham. I think we forgot about him. We should not forget about him because he deserves to be called out as another top tier Senator Warhawk. But yeah, now all the younger people. I mean, I got a Red Note. I wanted to check it out. I actually like it. I'm going to keep it. I like it.
What do you like about
now, is that the new fear? What do you think about that? With the China takeover of American minds, now they're on Red Note.
Yeah, it's been an amazing cultural exchange, and I'm staying on there. I've been talking to many Chinese comrades, and I was joking on Twitter today. Well, I was joking how the People's Republic of China is horrible at propaganda because there's many people in China that didn't realize that many Americans live in squalor. They have this idea, and they've been propagandized by Hollywood movies. By a lot of movies, I see them quote all the time that Americans are wealthy. So we've been explaining, many Americans have been explaining how many of them in medical debt, how much percentage they spend on their rent, and people in China is absolutely horrified. So now China realized that the best way they can achieve their goal of peace, because China is not as radical as many of us want them to be. Because I would love for China to be an agent to overthrow global capitalism. And that is not what China is, my friends.
Yeah. They are
China
capitalist.
wants to build and want to maintain growth with capitalist countries like the United States. Which, as a capitalist state, that makes sense that you care about. Go ahead.
Country that has red and yellow banners all over the street. But they're still a capitalist country.
Yeah, they still want to maintain the global market infrastructure, and to me, it makes sense why they want to, because they care about the prosperity of their people. They're not here. Their job is not to help us overthrow capitalism. They're here to provide for the people. So I understand why they do that, but China, only thing they want is peace. So they realize the best way to achieve this is to simply allow Chinese people to talk to Americans. The great firewall that they put up, preventing Americans to sign on social media, was created because China was worried about Americans and obviously the CIA and all these bots, which still operate in China, by the way. They was afraid that they would corrupt the minds of the Chinese. And they was actually extremely wrong. The one thing that's happening is Americans are like, hey, guys, we are fucked. This is why I think America is horrible. And now Chinese people, oh, my God, we didn't realize how great we had it. We thought our government was lying to us. But anyway, go ahead.
Right, they thought it was the propaganda the other way. Like, oh, wait, you guys are broke and poor too? Like, I mean, young people everywhere around, I would say your generation for sure has like the bleakest outlook for their future, right? It doesn't matter what country people are in. The end millennials like you are the ones that are like, I should be buying a house. I should be getting married. I should be doing all these things, but I can't because I can't afford to. And now with this crossover from TikTok to Red Note, it's the young millennials that are communicating with each other cross borders going, oh, and like you said, the Chinese ones were like, oh, I guess we're doing better and to better than we thought. And to China's credit, while they do have, their version of oligarchs, like, and big tech bros like we have here, right? To their credit, they have in the course of the end of the 20th century brought the most people out of abject poverty than any other country
That's true.
has ever seen across the world. So whatever you think of their style of communism, there's proof in the pudding in those numbers that, but that's, very few Americans knew that before last week.
Yeah, and obviously as Marxists, our job is to constantly pushing the ruling class to achieve better. So that's why I understand the reflex that many people in the West have to critique Chinese communism. But for the American leftists who say stuff like, China is actually, we shouldn't model them because they're a capitalist country. And then people on the right, they crack me up because they'll say, hey, why are you praising China? Don't you know they're capitalists? I'll be like, okay, how about we implement some of the reforms? If you think China is so capitalist, let's implement some of the reforms that China has, and let's see how happy you would. Because China sees the banks. They implement landlord reforms where people can only own 2 plots of land and they can't rent it out to a profit. So for all the Americans, especially the ones on the right, they say, "Oh, don't you know China is not really a communist, actually a capitalist country?" Because I see that a lot of liberals say this in order to justify why Reno people live comfortable. That it's actually capitalist. Okay, let's implement some of their capitalism then, where landlords essentially crippled, where the banks own where the people own
hedge
the means
funds.
of making.
The hedge funds in America buy up all the single family houses, which is why people in your generation cannot afford to buy single family houses, because now hedge funds have crept up into suburban neighborhoods and buying one-off homes everywhere. So I didn't know that about China's like no land grab policy. I just learned that from you. I didn't know. But I think that's pretty wise because it would prevent, the tyranny of the top 0.01% owning all the land in your country.
Yeah, and it also, and the existence of China also debunks the capitalist doomerism that prosperity is not possible under a socialist model. Because they're like, you're a socialist, so you want everyone to be poor. No, I want everyone to have fucking money. I'm a worker. We Marxists, we build things. We advance society and humanity. What we are advocating for, the people who actually get their hands dirty don't have their labor exploited. And if you are able to benefit off of said society, that's great. Like, because as people mentioned, China has billionaires. But you will never have more power than the collective public. So the reason why there's massive corruption in the United States is because there's no doubt in our mind that the billionaire have more power than the government.